Hello guys, welcome to the next session of developing e-commerce application from scratch using Angular and Spring Boot. In the last session we discussed on how we can create the login form. So basically login form was already created, but that form was created using a bootstrap. But as throughout this series we are going to use Angular Material UI library. So we replaced that bootstrap login form with the Angular Material UI library components. In this session we are going to see what we are going to do next in the upcoming sessions, and also we are going to design one small API as well in this session. So let me first of all tell you what we are going to do in the upcoming sessions, so that it will be very easy for us to understand what will be the plan for throughout this series. So over here, let me just come to the project on my local host. So let me just click on the login. So as you have already know that we have the two different users in our application. So basically one will be a normal user that will buy the products and that will search the product, and the second user which will be the admin user. So admin will be responsible to add the products, delete the products, manage the products, and also it will be responsible for delivering the product as well. So we have this kind of structure throughout this series. So we are going to follow this kind of structure throughout this series. So first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to focus on couple of functionalities for the admin, because if we just try to break out the functionalities, so first of all admin will add the product, and then only user will be able to search it, and if want, then user will be able to buy it. So first of all admin should be able to add the product, then only user will be able to search and buy the product. So this is the flow. So that's the reason we have to first of all focus on the admin's functionality, and then we will be focusing on the user's functionality. So let me just click on let me just fill the login ID for admin, and let me just fill the password as well. And my backend application is already in running state, so make sure like your backend is also in the running state. And like if you are seeing, like currently we have this you are admin, like we are just showing this normal text like you are admin. So first of all, let me just tell you what we are going to do is we are going to add one navigation bar over here. Again, we are going to add navigation bar, and we are going to show whatever the options which are available for the admin, such as add the product, then see all products, then so that user can see all the products in the so that admin can see all the products in the table, and if want, like admin can perform the edit and delete operations as well. And also we will be adding one more tab like delivery or maybe orders, so that admin will be able to see all the orders which are placed by the users, and like if want, admin can also update the delivery status as well. So these are the things that we are going to focus on. So let's first of all see how we can implement the very first functionality. So very first functionality that we are going to implement is add new product. So admin will be able to add a new product. So what we are going to do is, I'm just telling you like what we are going to do is we are not going to do or implement this functionality in a single video itself. We are going to break it down in a backend and front end as well, but I'm just telling you like what we are going to implement. So we are going to add one new tab over here on the navigation bar, like add a new product. When admin clicks on add new product, then admin will see one form where we will be collecting some information from the admin, such as a product name, product description, product's actual price, and product's discounted price, so that we can fill all this, admin can fill all the details, and we will be able to save these details in our database. On the left hand side, we are going to implement that form. We are going to add the input fields, whatever required input fields, and we are going to add the save button as well. So on the right hand side, we are going to add one section which will be responsible to add the images, because obviously we are going to implement a e-commerce application, and e-commerce application without the images will not be a e-commerce application. So that's the reason we are going to implement the functionality on right hand side, which will be completely responsible for handling the images. So we will be adding one section over here for drag and drop images and also browse images, so that if user wants, if admin wants, then admin can drag and drop images as well, and if want, like admin can browse the images as well. So we are going to add this into this section, and in the below right section we are going to add the image previews. So whichever image admin will upload, that image will be previewed in this below section. So we are going to develop every single thing which will be a common throughout the e-commerce application. So again, in a short terms, on the left hand side we will be adding one form from where we will be collecting some information from the admin. On the right hand side we are going to add one drag and drop area and browse area, so that admin can drag and drop or browse the images. In the bottom right we are going to add the image preview area. So whichever image admin will upload or drag and drop, then we are going to show the preview as well, so that if something doesn't look good, then admin can remove that image and upload a new one. So we are going to handle that one. So this is the overall functionality that we are going to implement. So again, in this functionality there are a couple of APIs that we have to implement, and also a couple of UI changes will be required. So in this session what we are going to do is we are going to implement one API which will be responsible to take the required information, like required form information from the admin. So in this case what we are going to take, what are the information that we are going to take is the first thing is product name, then second is product description, third one is a product's actual price, and fourth one is a product's discounted price. So these are the four fields that we are going to take from the admin. For the images, like we will create separate videos, because taking the images is again itself is a big topic, so we are not going to focus on that in this video, but in the upcoming videos we will be taking care of that. So without wasting much more time, let's focus on how we can implement one new entity for product, and also how we can implement one new API for taking the details of the product. So let me just come back to my IntelliJ, and over here let me just first of all stop my application, and let me just first of all close all the tabs which are opened. So now if you see in the left hand side section, we have different packages. So very first thing that we have to do is we have to first of all create one entity for the product. So previously we have created this user and role. So similarly we have to create one new entity for the product. So let me just add one new class into this entity package. So let me just give the name as product only, and let me just click on the cancel. This is basically, by the way, this is a notification for the Git. So as I have configured a Git as well, so it is asking me whether whatever class you are adding, whether you want to upload the same class on the Git as well. But as of now I'm just clicking on the cancel, and in some days or after completing this video I will just upload it to the Git. Now this product class we have to annotate with the annotation that is called as an entity. Now again, inside this product class we have to give all the properties that we want to take from the admin. So very first property that I want to take is product name. So let me just add product name. Then second thing is product description. Then the third is, as I said, like product discounted price, discounted price, and lastly product actual price, like this. And also we want to take one ID as well, because for this, obviously this product is going to be an entity, that means it is going to be a one table inside our database. So obviously we want one a primary key, so that we can whenever required we can search any specific product with the help of primary key. We can delete it, we can update it, so we can perform all the operations on our product. So for this, let me just add integer product ID like this. And obviously we are not going to enter the ID I want that my database itself should be able to generate the ID. So that's the reason we have to just give some annotations. So first of all, we have to give one annotation, that is @ID, so that we can make it as a primary key. The second annotation that we have to give is generated value, and over here we have to give generation type dot auto. So we have to give this annotation. So let me first of all see what I'm going to get over here. Yeah, so we have to make it as strategy is equals to generation type dot auto, like this. And now we have to implement the getters setters as well. So let me just implement the getters and setters. So let me just right click, generate, and let me just select getters and setters. Let me select all the fields and let me click on OK. So IntelliJ will be IntelliJ is going to implement the getters and setters for all the fields. Now we have done with this product class. Let me just close this product class. Now we have to add the controller, we have to add a service, and also we have to add a DAO for the product as well, because we have implemented one new entity for the product. Similarly, we have to implement all the other classes. So let's first of all focus on how we can implement the DAO, because it is one of the most important thing. So let me just click on this DAO package. So let me just add one interface over here. So make sure you are just adding the interface, and let me just give the name as product DAO, like this. This interface we have to annotate with @repository, and then we have to extend this interface with the CRUD repository. So let me just use CRUD repository. Now again we have to give the two different parameters. So very first parameter will be the class on which we want to implement this repository. So my class name is a product, and then the second type we have to give is what kind of ID you have. So we have the integer type of ID, so we have to give this integer. So if you just open this product entity, so if you see for the product ID we have the type integer. So similarly we have to give the same type over here, like integer. Now this is the only thing that we have to do it in a DAO. So now let's focus on how we can implement the controller and services. So let me just first of all click on this controller, and let me just click on add new Java class, and let me just give the name as product controller, like this. And again this controller class we have to annotate with @rest controller, and then what we have to do is we have to add one API. So let me just first of all add the API, like public. As of now, let me just give the type as void. Like in few minutes we will be changing this type, but as of now let's keep it as a void only. And then let me just give the name as add new product, like this. And then let me create this method. Now we are going to take the product details from the admin, so we have to add a parameter as well. So let me just add the parameter which will be of type product, and you can give the name as product or whichever name you want. But if you see, this product is basically a class name, and this product is basically a object name, and this product basically starts from capital P. This products basically start from a small p. So there is a difference between it. Now the next thing that we have to give is we have to annotate this product parameter with one annotation which is called as a request body, like this. And now let me just save this code. Now again we have to give the mapping, like which kind of mapping you want to give this for the API. So we have different mapping like get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping. So obviously we are going to put or we are going to post data from the user to the database. So we have to use a post mapping. So let me just give one annotation that is called as a post mapping, and inside this we have to give the path for our API. So my path will be add new product, like this. And now let me just save these changes. Now before moving forward, we have to make sure our product service is also created. So let me just first of all create a product service, and then we will be doing the further changes. Now again, I just want to bring your attention at one point. So if you see, like I have given the name as add new product to my API. But this is not a correct naming convention. So the naming should be something like slash product slash add. So this is the naming convention that basically we should follow. But as of now, like we haven't discussed on the naming conventions of API. So as of now, I'm just going to give it as a add a new product itself. But in a few upcoming sessions, we will discuss on how the API name should be, and then we will just correct these names. But as of now, let's keep it as a slash add new product. But just make sure that these names should be something like slash product slash add. So if you are login, like if you are implementing a login API, so the naming convention should be like slash user slash login, something like this. So this should be the naming convention for our API. Now we have done with the controller, and let me just click on the service. Let me just add one new class inside my service, which will be like product service, like this. This class we have to annotate with @service, and then we have to add one method again over here. So let me just make it as public. Then let me just make it as of now, let's keep it as void. And then again, let me just give the same name as add new product. This add new product is going to take one parameter again, which will be of type product, like this. And now what we have to do is we have to auto wire our repository. So let me first of all auto wire my repository, like my product repository or product DAO. So let me just use product DAO like this, and then we have to annotate this with @auto wire. So now we have auto wired our product DAO. So the only thing that we have to do is we have to use product DAO dot save, and we have to pass the object. So my object name is product, that we are going to get from the parameter. So we have to pass the same object to the product. Now if you see the definition of this save, it basically returns the saved entity. So it basically saves product inside a database, and then it also returns all the values which are saved into a database. So we can store that returned value in one object, and obviously if we are saving the product, in return we will get the product only. So we have to create one object of product, and we can just give any name like P, and then at the end what we can do is we can just make it as a return P, like this. But now as we are returning a value, the return type should not be a void. It should be specific, like what kind of object that we are going to return. So let me just make it as a product, because we are going to return a object of product only. Now if you see, I have vested two different lines. On line number 15 also, and on line number 16 I have completely vested. So what we can just do is we can just make it as a return. We can just write the return statement in this line number 15 only, instead of on line number 16. So let me just remove this line number 16, and let me just remove this object creation as well, and let me just write directly return over here. So it will first of all perform the save operation, and whichever object the save operation will return, it will return that same object. So I just wanted to show you like how we can reduce the line. So that's the reason I just done in this way. Now let me just save this, and we have done with the product service. Let me just come back to my product controller. Let me just auto wire my product service. So let me just make it as private product service like this. We have to use again the same annotation, which is @auto wired. Inside my add new product API, we have to use product service dot add new product, and again whichever object we will get from the admin, we will pass it to the service itself. Now again this service is going to return us the object of product only. So that same object we will return from the controller. So we can just write return in front of it. But again, as we are going to return the product object, we should not use a void over here. So we have to use a product like this. And now let me just save this code. Now we have done with the controller, service, DAO, and also we have created one entity as well. Now everything is done. So let me just first of all run the project. Let's see whether we get any error or it runs successfully. And also let me just first of all show you my database. So let me just go to my database, my SQL database. And if you see, currently we have three different tables like role, user, and user underscore role. So as soon as I run the project, what I'm expecting is it should create one new entity automatically, and that entity should be for the product only. So let me just run the project now. Let's see what happens behind the scenes, like whether it creates a new entity or not. So now as you can see, now my application is started. Let me just come back to my DB. Let me just first of all refresh these tables, and now if you see, we are able to see one new table that is called as a product. Now let me just select star from product, but as of now we don't have any things which is saved inside this DB. So let's first of all see how we can save the details of product inside this DB. We have created one API for that as well. So obviously we have to use a postman because we don't have any UI right now, so we have to use a postman only for this. So let me just first of all quickly open a postman, and meanwhile let me just tell you one thing. So let's suppose if you get any, by chance if you get any error while running these after adding this entity, and if let's suppose if you are not be able to see the newly created table, as I am able to see this table inside my DB, but let's suppose if you are not be able to see that table, the only thing that we can just do is we can just go inside our application.properties file, and now on line number 6 you are able to see one property which is like spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl and ddl-auto is equals to create. So what you can just try is you can just remove this create and you can just try it as a update like this. So I don't think like you have to do this, but let's suppose by chance if you get any error, you can just try this with the update. I know like this is not a proper solution because for create only it should work, because this create basically means that whenever you will run the project, what it will just do is it will vanish your existing data, it will vanish your existing tables, and it will create all the tables newly. So this is the basically means of this create property. If you make it as update, so what update means is it will create your it will keep your existing data, it will keep your existing tables, and whatever updation you have done, it will perform those updations only. But sometimes it gives basically some errors, or Spring basically doesn't work properly sometimes, not every time. So you can just try in that way, and again if you face any issue, you can just come back to me only. Now let me just close these, and let me just click on this postman, and let me just close these pop-up as well, and let me just close these tabs as well like this, and let me just add one new tab. Now what we have to do is we have to use a local host colon 8080, or I just need to check which port my IntelliJ is, or my server is running. So my server is basically running on 9090. So if you see, Tomcat started on port 9090, so I have to use a 9090 instead of this 8080. Localhost 9090 slash add new product like this. And now make sure this API name you are giving exactly same as you have used inside your controller. So inside our controller we have one annotation that is called as a post mapping. Inside this we have used a path, so make sure you are just copying this path and you are just using the exactly same path over here, like slash add a new product. Now our mapping is post mapping, so we have to use it as a post mapping. Next thing that we have to do is we have to go to the body, and then we have to select the option that is called as a raw, and then instead of text we have to use it as a JSON. And now we have to pass the data that we want to store inside our DB. So first of all, we have to give some we have to give the key and value basically, because as we are sending it as a JSON. So let me just click to this product class, and now this ID we are not going to send, because ID I want like ID is basically generated by the database only. So we are not going to pass the ID, we are going to pass rest of the things. So we have to pass a product name. So make sure you are just copying the variable name and then you are just pasting it into your a JSON format. So just copy the product name and then just give the product name. So let's first of all, let's say iPhone 7 is the product that I just want to add, then comma, and then next property that we have to add is product description. Then let me just copy the variable name. Make sure you are copying the variable names only, because like this is the like we have to give name exactly same as which we have used for the variables. Again, if you want to change the name for JSON and variables, then we have couple of different things, annotations, but as of now let's don't focus on these. Let's first of all focus on a functionality. So product description is let's say Apple's iPhone, like this. The next property that we have to give is product's discounted price. So let me just copy the variable again, let me just paste it like this. And product discounted price, we don't need to give it inside a double quotes because this is a double value, so we have to use double quotes only for a string. So the variables we have to give inside a double quotes only. So if you see, all the variables I have used inside a double quotes, but I'm talking on the values. So values, if we are using the string value, then we have to give or use a double quotes, otherwise we don't need to use a double quotes. So let me just give the discounted price as, let's suppose 35,000, and lastly we have to give it as a product actual price, like this. So let me just use it as a product actual price. Let me just give it as a actual price is a 40,000, like this. And now make sure all these properties are separated by the comma, and all the properties are inside are wrapped inside a single curly bracket, like this. And now we have to just send this API. Now if you see, we are getting one exception, that is unauthorized exception. So reason why we are getting this exception is we have applied a security on our APIs. Like we have, as we have already seen, like we are going to use like JWT token and role based authentication mechanism. So we have applied that mechanism on our APIs. So that's the reason we are not be able to test this API, because if we, in order to test this API, we have to send a JWT token. But as of now we don't have any token, and as of now we are just testing the functionality. So that's the reason I don't want to apply the security on this API. So for this, what we can just do is we can just copy this API name, and then we have to go to the configuration package. We have one class that is a web security configuration. Inside this, if you see on line number 43, we have these APIs already mentioned, like register new user. In similar way, we have to mention our this add a new product API as well. So let me just give the comma and let me just paste my API, and make sure you are just giving a slash as well. So slash add a new product. And now let me just save it and let me just run this again. So let's see what happens, whether we get any exception, error, or we are able to test our API right now. So now my application is started. Let me just go to the Postman. Let me just click on send. Let's see what happens. Now if you see, like we got the response, like we got the product ID. So product ID is basically generated by the DB only, not by me. And we got the rest of the things like iPhone 7, my description, discounted price, and actual price. We got it from the response. Now let me just go to the MySQL. Let's see whether it is stored or not. And now let me just run this query again, like select star from product. And now if you see, we are able to see the details as well, like product ID and rest of the things. Now let me just change the let me just change these iPhone 7 to iPhone 8 or maybe iPhone 10 like this, and let me just change a price where to the, let's suppose discounted price is 65,000 and actual price is 70,000, and let me just click on send again. Let's see what happens. Now we got product ID 2. It is basically automatically incremented, and like we are able to see rest of the things. Now let me just go to the MySQL again. Let me just run, select star from product again, and we are able to see the second row which is added for the iPhone 10. Now our API is implemented successfully and it is working perfectly fine. Obviously we haven't used images right now, but we are going to see how we can add the images in the upcoming sessions. In the next session, first of all, what we are going to see is how we can develop the UI to hit this API. So as of now, we just tested this API from the Postman, but obviously we have to add one API like form as well. So in the next session, we will add that form, and after that we will take care of the images. So I hope you got an idea around this and like what we are going to implement in upcoming sessions, and how we can create the API to store the product details. If you still have any questions, let me know into a comment section and I will try my best to help you out in that case. And I hope you enjoyed this session. I'll see you in the next session.